85,000 inmates, but there's only space for 62,000. French prisons are overflowing.
Since 2021, we get 5,000 extra inmates each year, a ticking time bomb.
We were given exclusive access to this detention centre with our cameras.
Personally, it's as if they've taken away my humanity.
In 10 years, I've seen 18 people commit suicide.
Inhumane conditions, exhausted prison staff, and reoffending at an all-time high.
How can we detain people in these conditions? What's the purpose of the sentence? What state are they going to be in when they get out?
The French prison system seems to be on the verge of collapse.
Oui, bonjour, Elisa Martin. Je suis la députée de la 3e circonscription. Je viens exercer mon droit de visite.
In France, any MP has the right to visit a prison unannounced if they so wish. This morning, Elisa Martin has decided to go inside the Grenoble-Varces remand centre, taking the prison's management by surprise.
Oui, bonjour, je me permets de vous ressolliciter pour savoir où ça en est, pour que nous puissions entrer.
Oui, j'attends l'aval de mes chefs, madame, pour l'instant.
It's also the only way for journalists to visit a prison without prior notice. The Grenoble-Varces facility opened 53 years ago. It's regularly criticised for being overcrowded and having unsanitary conditions. Today, the occupancy rate is over 180%, which means that inmates are sometimes crammed into cells measuring 9 square meters with 3 people per cell.
You see, there's a mattress on the floor. And look at how the electricity is circulating there. That's dangerous. And as well as that, they live in the dark. They could open the window, but look, there's no glass. So they're either in the dark or they're cold. This cell is totally representative of the situation here in Varces.
Not all of the prisoners have agreed to be filmed. The MP, however, can talk to them.
Comment ça se passe pour vous, dites-moi?
Un peu mal, mais que je dois partir. Je demandais d'aller au étage 4 pour monter au moins 2 par cellule, mais personne m'a écouté, quoi.
Qu'est-ce que vous auriez à me dire de ce que vous voulez, hein, sur le thème que vous voulez
Être un peu respectueux, c'est tout. Et être un peu gentil avec vous.
These inmates feel dehumanized. That's the overwhelming impression we got when we heard their accounts of their time behind bars. Even the ones staying in the newly renovated cell that the management invited us to visit. The prison's taken some measures to lower temperatures during heat waves, but overall the conditions for detainees are still unbearable.
Un lion, quand on l'enferme dans une cage, il tourne.
When you lock a lion in a cage, it paces back and forth, it goes mad. It would change anyone's personality. Personally, it's as if they've taken away my humanity, because I'm sorry, but having 3 showers a week is not humane. Even animals are showered more often than that. There are so many things. The average meal here is inedible. There are some meals that no one will eat and they end up in the bin.
For years now, the Grenoble-Varces prison has needed serious renovations. The prison's administration says that major work is planned for 2027, but the overcrowding issue remains. Prison staff are unable to carry out their work in satisfactory conditions, and prisoners are waiting longer and longer to get access to a visiting room, to meet with a rehabilitation officer, or to see a doctor.
How can you expect a punitive sentence which includes prison time to have any real meaning in this sort of a setting? It's not possible. It doesn't work. It absolutely can't work.
All of France's prisons are affected by this lack of resources, but the issue of overcrowding mainly affects remand centres like Grenoble-Varces, facilities housing inmates sentenced to short terms or who are awaiting trial. Bakary is 22 years old and spent 6.5 months behind bars in pre-trial detention. Today, he works for the Emmaüs charity as a general agent.
I was imprisoned at the age of 19. My first thought was, what the hell am I doing here? My days consisted of playing sports, going to my cell, watching TV, cooking, cleaning, not much else. I applied for training courses, but I never heard back. I never heard back until the end of my sentence.
Undergoing training courses and working in prison can promote rehabilitation and reduce the chances of reoffending. But in France, less than a third of prisoners have access to work.
I can understand the people who come out with a hatred of prison because they're treated like dogs there. And when they get out, they go back to their old ways. And the truth is, they often end up back there.
The European Court of Human Rights has repeatedly sanctioned France for the unacceptable conditions in its prisons. According to a study by the Council of Europe, France is among the worst offenders, ranking third behind Slovenia and Cyprus.
How can we detain people in these conditions? What's the purpose of the sentence? What state are they going to be in when they get out? I think it's perfectly normal for people to go to prison if they have committed crimes. People must atone for their mistakes. Actions have consequences, but actions also have consequences when it's the state that commits these actions. And in doing so, completely abandons both prisoners and those who are tasked with guarding them and caring for them.
For the past 5 years, Dominique Simoneau has been the chief inspector of penitentiary establishments. In this capacity, she's responsible for monitoring prisons. She believes that when faced with overcrowding, facilities must be regulated. That is, for every prisoner who arrives in a prison, another must be released. This idea has been defended before the Legal Commission of the National Assembly. Magistrates, lawyers, and even prison directors support it too.
From 1981 onwards, we saw nearly continuous increase in the prison population of some 1,000 inmates per year. And since 2021, we get 5,000 extra inmates a year, a ticking time bomb.
We're incarcerating more people for longer periods of time. In doing this, we are collectively depriving the judicial system of its ability to rehabilitate, to prevent reoffending, to provide medical care.
Prison leads to reoffending. 63% of prisoners return to prison within a few years of their release, whereas the figures are much better for alternative sentences.
Emmanuel Macron denounced the appalling conditions during a visit to Fresnes prison shortly after he took office in 2017.
Pour vous, pour nos concitoyens qui sont incarcérés ici, ça n'est pas acceptable.
Since then, successive justice ministers have all supported the creation of more spaces in prisons to address the issue of overcrowding. But not one of them has moved to implement regulatory measures at the national level.
No one has the political courage. It's so much easier to say, yes, we must punish them severely, we must send them to prison, than to say, listen, there are alternatives, we can adjust sentences, we can release them earlier.
At the Moyenbry farm, they've seen just how effective sentence adjustments can be. Around a dozen men who are technically still incarcerated are serving the end of their sentences there. Nicolas is one of them. He's spent 10 years of his life behind bars.
I was born in a poor neighborhood. I grew up in a children's home and ended up in prison. There are only guys like me there, people who've been excluded from society, who end up in jail because we're not given any other hope. In my opinion, it's like a school for criminality. You go in for car theft, you come out knowing how to do burglaries. Everyone's mixed together. So, since you have nothing else to do, you teach each other the few things you do know about. Stealing, breaking into places. So yes, you're definitely going to reoffend. A young person who goes in hating society will not come out with any less hatred. In 10 years, I've seen 18 people commit suicide.
This farm is a rehabilitation facility. Prisoners at the end of their sentences stay here for an average of 9 months. They grow vegetables, tend to livestock, make cheese. They're also thinking about what will happen when they're released. There are no bars on the windows, no guards, but supervisors who help them adapt to life on the outside.
What we're offering here, what we're saying is, we're an alternative. We can do things differently. In fact, prison isn't the solution. And so by giving people the ability to take control of what happens to them next, by giving them a roof over their heads and building human connections, well, that will prevent them from reoffending.
It's been a year since Xavier was released. He spent the last 7 months of his sentence here. He says that period was essential for him, helping to rebuild his life after 7 years in prison.
It's designed to help us, and honestly, it really helped me. It gave me a new lease on life. Before, I just made easy money. Now I earn it with my own hard work. It makes you want to work because there's a good atmosphere. We're well supported, actually. The supervisors are good. I don't know if I would have made it otherwise. But now, I know I can.
Relearning simple, everyday tasks and trying to stay on the right path.
I didn't have valid papers. I had nothing if the farm hadn't been here. When I was released, I had nothing. What would I have done? I'm not going to go sleep under a bridge. I'm 45 years old. Am I meant to sleep under a bridge? It's not possible. So, I would need to go and make some money, go back to my bad old ways. No, I'm going to do things differently this time. I'm going to do it legally, and that's thanks to the farm.
Alternative sentences have been proven to have positive outcomes, but they remain rare. France still favours imprisonment within a penal system that's overwhelmed and offers little chance of a fresh start.